Good morning. I almost forgot to unmute my mic. Welcome. If you hear a little nasally, extra nasally sound, if my voice is a little quieter, if I have a little less, je sais quoi, veuve, enthusiasm. The enthusiasm is deep in my heart. I'm getting over a cold, and actually now that I begin to speak, I think it's worse than I thought. But I didn't want to cancel today because I've got some momentum with this every Wednesday thing. And I do know, as a matter of fact, that the next 2 weeks are a little... I'm going to try to keep this every Wednesday thing, but I know for sure 2 weeks from now I won't be here on Wednesday, and I'm not so sure about next week yet. But I have some plans, some extra bonus live streams. So today might be a bit of a shorter episode to, very minor, just a little bit of a cold. It snowed here. We had a snow day. That was exciting. Thanks to everyone who indulged the little extra noise loop video where I walked the streets of Brooklyn and talked into a camera. I was wearing a baseball cap, trying to channel my inner youthful YouTuber. I don't know how well I did, but it was an attempt. So I've got some what I view as exciting things to talk about and show today. And I also just want to kind of reset a little bit because I've been obsessed, as you may have noticed. Noise, different noise algorithms, classic Perlin noise, simplex noise, open simplex noise. And I've been doing a lot of videos about that. I've been looking at techniques for looping noise by adding extra dimensions and using polar coordinates. It's been glorious. I think it's maybe time for me to take a break from that. Although there's a little time towards the end of today, I would like to apply the looping noise to the terrain code, which is something that I said at the end of my video that I would do. If I don't get to it today, I'll certainly release that code. People are telling me the stream is very laggy. Ugh. All right. I've been talking all this time and no one has been able to hear me. So I do see here in my live control room, YouTube live control room, that I'm getting bad quality. Okay, let's try restarting. Oof. Okay. Now it's fine. I mean, I'm tempted to just restart here. Let's restart. It's fine now. Okay. All right, so now I was about to start, but apparently it's working. Did anybody catch anything that I just said? I suppose, hopefully, when this gets published, Aggie, the actual words that were coming out of my mouth will be heard on the archived version of this video. Is that true? Okay. So, all right, let me just repeat myself. I don't know what else to do but repeat myself, which is not a good idea considering the state that I'm in. I have a day. It's called a box of Kleenex. The coding train today is sponsored by the common cold. It makes your head congested. Your brain is in a fog. You shouldn't be live streaming on YouTube. I'm a little bit sick. I felt, when I woke up this morning, I felt pretty good. And I haven't been doing very much or talking very much. And I just started. I realized, oh, this is a little shaky. But I am going to proceed with today. This will be a bit of a shorter stream than usual so that I don't overdo it. But I wanted to make sure that I came here because I've got important things to say and well, I don't have anything important to say. I've got things to say. I've got stuff to code. Common cold, you're not going to get me down. Lag comes again. All right. Now, some of you are experiencing lag. I am also, the part where the words come out of my mouth, there is a lot of lag in between there. There's like a little loading animation that's in front of my eyes as I think and attempt to speak. And I'm going to go check the live control room. It still says bad. I'm tempted to restart. Why don't I just restart? Should I just restart? I should probably restart. I'm getting mixed signals from the chat. All right. Okay, in theory, I am back now. I am going to look at my... We'll see how this goes. The good news is I'm everything to disk, so nothing is lost until the computer decides to die. I see that people are saying still lag, so it doesn't seem to have corrected itself, which is somewhat unfortunate. Let me just put on the waiting music. Sometimes it takes a minute. The question is this on YouTube's end or is it on my end? It could be the internet connection that I'm using here at NYU. I am not streaming through Wi-Fi. I'm streaming through the Ethernet cable plugged into the wall line. But I do have like a lot of things are lagging. I've got congestion. So maybe this is all for the best. I could come back later today, I suppose. Whoops, wrong keyboard. This is very hard for me to do. Actually, this will be fun. Let's try something. Let's try a little experiment here. Okay. I'm so confused what I'm doing here. Okay, most of you probably can't see this, but I'm going to attempt to run this internet speed test. What I did is I just used in Open Broadcast Studio, I'm doing like window capture to grab the browser window on the computer that I'm streaming from. You can see my IP address now. I'm broadcasting that out. And let's see how this goes. So I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like I'm getting a download rate of about 430 megabits. And here comes the upload. This should be good for streaming. Let's check my, yeah, it still says bad. Ah, I mean, come on, look at that. Can you see this? This doesn't look like it's on my end, right? Oh. All right, so now it seems to be fine. Okay, now it's working. Lag. Okay, well, let's proceed then, shall we? I was kind of hoping, in a weird sort of way, I was hoping it was just going to get worse because I think maybe I should be taking a break. I know, you're here to watch this live stream and you don't want me to be secretly hoping that the whole thing turns off so I can go downstairs and rest. But if I'm being honest, for a moment, that's how I felt. Okay. So looks like my speed test seemed to fix things. Oh, it says good now. Okay, so my YouTube Live control room says good. Let me remove this window capture. And I think I'm actually just going to delete that. And I think I'll get started. I've got going here, there are teams of people all working 24/7, rotating shifts of engineers, curriculum writers, designers, makeup, hair, costume design, just to make this happen. Right, a person named Dan Schiffman standing here talking to you live on the internet. All right, let me at least cover some important announcements. I can't even hear myself speak. That's how congested my head is. It's not good. All right, browser. And I have some announcements to make. First, congratulations to the 2000, oh boy. I'm talking to the camera and then I turn over to refer to this thing that I have here and it just, all I see is lag, 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 lag. Still says good. Let me check the Slack channel. Buffering. I bet it's encoding problems, not network. Alka write, I bet it's encoding problems, not network. So where would that be happening? Like, you mean like on the OBS level or like YouTube? Oh, it's back. The PC already. Isn't it possible that this is a problem on YouTube's end? I mean, nope. Okay, on the bottom right of OBS, I have a green icon. I have CPU 10.3%, 30 frames per second. And kilobytes per second, 5,170. People are telling me it's already. View stats, there's more information there. Okay. View. So I'm seeing view, I don't see something just called stats. Here, I'm going to share with you all. I mean, you can't really see this because it's lagging, but I'm going to show OBS window. Let's see if I can do that. A little behind the scenes here today on the coding train. Oh, now it's red. OBS. Whoa, this is going to be crazy. Uh-oh. What have I done? I guess I can't really share with you this without it. Yeah, it's fine. Just got a nice little, oh, why is this here? Okay. This is OBS. It is red now. This was green before. That was green before I did this. View. Stats, there we go. Ooh, okay. Now it's bad. Now let me share this with you. Whoops, sorry everyone, hold on. There we go. Okay, so that's the OBS stats. Okay, I am now streaming again. I've got the stats from OBS up here that you can see. I don't have the chat open. Give me a second to get that. I mean, I can't imagine that having the chat open on this computer was somehow causing a problem. I'm going to do that every single live stream. Okay. Interestingly enough, quality seems to be good now. Interesting. Okay, here's the thing. Oh yeah, no, I'm recording to disk also. Okay. Well, I am going to hide these windows. I have the chat up. I have this up. Okay. Here we go. Attempt number, I don't know what at this point. Attempt number 3, I guess. Uh-oh. I see red. I see red. Let me just have a look here. We're dropping some frames. Network, yeah. It's the network, okay. Lag. All right, everyone. Alka brings up a good point. Alka brings up a good point, which is that I think there's a backup ingest server on YouTube that I could. Okay. I don't know if you are seeing this, but I just switched to the backup ingest server. It's a configuration. And let's see. Maybe don't blow your nose into the microphone. That's a nice comment. All right, since I've switched to the backup server, has that changed anything? I don't know where you are in the time-space continuum. So if you're giving me comment bad, I need to know that you are hearing me talk about the backup ingest server and saying that it is still bad. Yeah, okay, thank you, Let's take a look at, oh yeah, that's a lot of dropped frames. Network. Okay, so I guess I could try just coming back in like a half an hour. Maybe I'll just do that. How about we try that? I could just go on and do some stuff and you will only be able to hear and barely be able to watch. I'm not sure what to do. I got to make it some music. Help me think. So I'm hearing from some folks that it's gotten a little better. I do see right now that I'm only having 1/3 dropped frames, which is pretty good. So let me just do a few things. And I'm going to now ignore that this problem is happening. And I'm going to turn off this monitoring. And I'm going to proceed ping test. OK, hold on. I'm going to try one more thing. All right. So thanks for your patience, everyone. This isn't going very well, but I'm gonna just try to give this like 15 or 20 minutes to do some content and see where we are. Maybe my voice will start to get worse and I'll need to stop. Maybe the internet won't have fixed itself and I'll need to stop. But me just standing here doing nothing seems kind of pointless. So, and just in case you're suggesting, oh, why don't you restart, blah, 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 check your network connectivity. Restart it twice, network connectivity is good. There's dropped frames from OBS, seems to be a network thing. Who knows on what end where, but such is what's happening. Okay, so wanted to make a couple announcements. Number one, congratulations to the 2019 Processing Foundation Fellows. Check out this Medium article on medium.com/processing-foundation to see all the wonderful projects that are being funded by the Processing Foundation this spring. And so I would love to tell you about all of these, but I'm just going to scroll through them like I've just done, and then I'm going to close this window. Seems to be working fine now. I also wanted to mention that the Processing Foundation YouTube, if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe to the Processing Foundation's YouTube. In particular, there is a video that just came out today, which is a 3-minute recap of Processing Community Day in Los Angeles. And to learn more about the Processing Foundation and its mission and initiatives and Community Day, please check that video out. And stay tuned. Now, let me actually click here to Processing Foundation's channel. You can also check out the live stream archive. You'll notice that it's 7.5 hours, because this is just an archive of all of the talks from that day. But Mathieu, who I work with on the coding train, and I are working to put together edited versions of all the talks, which will be posted soon, sometime in the next few weeks, hopefully even. So stay tuned for that. Please subscribe to the Processing Foundation YouTube. Consider also, if you have the means and are able to, if you can support the work of the Processing Foundation by becoming a member. Once a year, I'll do like a specific fundraiser on the coding train for the Processing Foundation. But Processing Foundation is a 501c3 tax-exempt US nonprofit supported by some grants that we've been so lucky to get, supported by the New York City Department of Education, CS for All initiative, and probably almost more primarily supported by people. You, the viewers perhaps of this channel, the people who use processing, P5JS, and if you want to become a member, you can go to here. All right, right now I'm just like blah, 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 blah to see if people are still saying lag. Really all I'm seeing now in the comments is looks stable. Okay, so I wanted to mention stuff. Now, I have another thing I want to mention, which is, so you may recall that I recently published Coding Challenge number 137, 4D Open Simplex Noise Loop. I've talked about Perlin noise, classic Perlin noise from 1980, simplex noise from 2001. There's actually a different improved Perlin noise algorithm also around 2001 that was separate from simplex noise, I believe. I've gotten some of this right, gotten some of it wrong. I've conflated, oversimplified some things. One of the mistakes I certainly made in this video was being too, I talked about moving a looping noise in 3 dimensions by moving a plane along like the path of a torus, which isn't exactly what I'm doing because I'm actually using 4-dimensional space to loop. But so there have been some really nice threads and comments explaining some of the things I got wrong in the comments of the video. So I highly encourage you to check that out. And I just wanted to highlight this one particular comment from Raouf Tuti, who writes, "Noise is indeed a confusing topic. So many terms. I will try to clarify for those who are confused. There are many kinds of noise. Value, gradient, whirly, gabor, gabor. This is one I have not heard of. I'm going to have to look that up. Wavelet, etc. When the algorithm uses a random number generator, it is probably value noise. The Hugo Elias article, even though it's titled Perlin noise, is actually value noise. So that's value noise is when a bunch of random numbers are picked and sampled and interpolated and smoothed, value noise. Okay, that's a helpful clarification. When the algorithm uses gradients, the vectors on the grid points, it's called gradient noise. The most popular gradient noise algorithm is Perlin noise. There are 2 iterations of Perlin noise. The first is classical version from 1983, and I believe this is the algorithm that's currently in processing in P5.js when you call the noise function. Then later, Ken Perlin improved it by addressing a few issues to make what is known as improved Perlin noise. So we could actually look this up, improved Perlin noise, and we would find that here, I believe this is improved noise reference implementation. This is from a corresponding SIGGRAPH 2002 paper, which you can find right here, improving noise. And then let's finish this comment out. Then later, Ken Perlin, then in 2001, Ken Perlin published simplex noise, which is different from the 2 other Perlin noises, but still is gradient noise. So I assume that the first classic version and the improved noise are both operating. I see that the lag is kind of happening again. Both of those are the gradients are happening on a rectangular or square grid, noise on a symplectic grid or a grid of equilateral triangles. And so there's an article about this that the author of this comment posts about improved Perlin noise, which I will click on now, and you can find that here. So this is also a really nice reference. And it was nice while it was working, but it seems to be laggy again. All right, so I'm getting some stuff off my chest, even in this lagged state. Be interesting to watch this back later. I love how the YouTube chat moderation is smart enough to automatically flag comments that say subscribe to a particular channel that shall remain nameless, in addition to just, inappropriate language and that sort of thing. Okay. Sir, please restart your Mac. I have tried that twice. I don't think that's going to do anything, so I think I am not going to restart my Mac. Some people are saying it's stable. I'm going to look at the control room. Bad. We are not receiving video data. It's so funny that I have this cold because it's so apt. It just couldn't be a better match. The lag, the network lag, and the head congestion. It just feels like the same thing, and it's all mixed together. So it's kind of appropriate there's a bad lag problem. All right. Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? I'm going to close. Don't make me pull this car over. I will close the chat window and not look at it for the rest of the live stream. Behave yourself. Well, I like that the audio is not lagging because at least you can hear me and in terms of dropped frames. All right, let's move on to the next topic of today. Just going to keep going, and I'm probably going to stop in about 15-20 minutes if the lag keeps going. There's one thing that I would do regardless of whether I'm live streaming. I could stop just as really kind of like practice. So let me talk about that a bit. Okay. Then I will take a break and come back a different time, maybe. Do I have my free Friday morning? No. That would have been good. Oh boy. Wow. Now it says it's not even receiving any data. Like it's completely stopped streaming. Yeah. Wow. Oh, it's back, but bad. The chat is really out of control. All right. I'm sorry. I'm going to minimize the chat. I will take a peek at it. I'm going to just keep the Slack channel open. The Slack channel is for members of the Coding Train through YouTube or through Patreon. But I'm going to assume that my record to disk is working, and I'm going to talk through some stuff that I want to think through and begin working on. So I would suggest you maybe go do something else, but if you want to stick with me here, I'm gonna probably be here for like longer to talk through some of this stuff. Okay. I don't know that this will actually be a separate video, but let's give this a try. Hi, it's me, Dan, from the Coding Train, right? I mean, who else would it be? I'm going to just tell you about something that I'm working on that's slowly over time on the channel, out of order. I'm trying to work through an idea for a new playlist of videos. The idea is to have nuts and bolts skills around working with data and APIs in JavaScript, both client-side and server-side. And I hope that this can be supported for people who are teaching courses on information visualization, machine learning, data visualization, data art, self-track. People who are teaching sort of more fully fleshed out courses that involve project making and critique and dialogue. And maybe those people that I'm imagining in my head who are teaching these courses could use some video resources they could point their students towards that are somewhat generic and will give foundational skills. So there's a GitHub repository. Hopefully by the time, if you're watching this, this will look totally different. I am working on a lot of ideas for this. It's at github.com/codingtrain/intro to data and APIs. There is a bit of a description here and a bit of an outline. So I am going to be working on this outline and making videos out of order and then kind of synthesizing stuff together and making an intro video. And hopefully by the end of April, beginning of May, the whole thing will be completed. So that's what this playlist is. Things are going to appear out of order. Give me feedback. I might redo some stuff, add some stuff. But I would say the central place for you to give me feedback is to come over here and go to the issues. And I certainly can leave comments in this video, but go over here to the issues and post your thoughts and ideas. If you are a teacher who teaches this stuff and can give me ideas and thoughts about what would be specifically helpful that you would love to have as resources to point your students towards, that's in particular what I'm looking for. Okay? Thanks very much, and I'll see you in this playlist for some amount of time should you choose to be here. Goodbye. Okay. All right. Ah! Boy, my watch just told me what 4 times 5 is. Okay, so I did that. That's good. I probably should have mentioned the learning. Oh, let me check. I'm looking for a message here. It actually is telling me that the stream rate is good right now, which is kind of unbelievable. I hesitate to check the chat, and I know that this could be fleeting. I just want to see something. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Anyway, I should also mention that this new playlist that I'm developing is supported by YouTube itself through the Learning Incentive grants. So I was like looking back into my email to see what I'm supposed to say aloud to say. Okay. I kind of want to like check the chat again. Yeah, I see in the Slack channel that it's stable. Dare I pull up the chat? So this will fit in somewhere in narrative C. Totally figure that out yet. So what I'm going to attempt to do right now is just do a short video tutorial, like no more than 10 minutes. This is going to be 45 minutes, I'm sure, just about the function fetch. Okay. Let me make this bigger. Okay. Oh, hello to Egypt. That's kind of amazing to me that there are people watching in Egypt. Thank you, Amr. If I apologize incorrectly. Oh, it's red. I see red. I see red. That's not good. Okay, I'm going to just keep going with. Hello. In this tutorial, I am going to talk about the function fetch. So the function fetch, the JavaScript function fetch, which is a JavaScript interface for accessing and manipulating parts of the HTTP pipeline. Whoa. Wait, hold on. Starting over. Hello. In this video, I am going to talk to you about the function fetch. And this is a building block for many of the examples that I am going to demonstrate to you and show you how to do throughout the course of these videos. Did I say? Oh, I like that it's. The chat is cursed. Okay. At least it's lagging so that nobody can really see what I'm doing anyway. Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the function fetch. And this function fetch will serve as a building block for a lot of the different examples and other topics that I talk to you throughout this series working with data and APIs. So what is fetch? Okay, so it's a global method that you can call in JavaScript in the browser. So, you know, maybe there are some browsers that don't yet support fetch, and this is a consideration as you deploy a project to a large worldwide audience. But for right now, we can kind of make this. Fetch is something we can write into our JavaScript code, and fetch will fetch something. It will get us, it does this HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol thing to request data. Or actually, you can use fetch, it seems counterintuitive, to send data as well. So, okay, hold on. I have to fix my whiteboard. Hold on, I have to fix the whiteboard. Take off the message about all the dropped frames. Okay. 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 Let me take a minute to blow my nose. Coding Train today is sponsored by the Common Cold. I should have muted my microphone, but I decided to not mute my microphone so that you could hear the sounds, the authentic sounds of the common cold. One thing I should recommend is when you have the common cold, consider trimming your beard because it's just everything's gross. It's just all gross. All right, let's diagram out. Let's talk a bit more about the function fetch. Fetch. Yeah, fetch is a function that you call by the keyword, the function name fetch. And you can give it more than one argument. Now, the easiest way to use it is to give it one single argument. And this is a path. So it could be a path to our local file, it could be our URL path, and you're saying, hey, I would like this or this text data, or this JSON data, or this tabular data, it's comma-separated value file, any kind of data. You can fetch it. Optionally, you can give fetch a second argument, which is really like a bunch of configuration options. So in the case where you actually want to use fetch to post data to set, what you want to do is go into the body and pull the data out in some format that you want. And I wrote a list here of the kinds of ways you can do that. So you can get, let's try to understand. So maybe if you're just loading a text file, you're loading a Shakespeare play, it's in a raw text file or a URL, you could then ask for that data as text. If it's JSON data, which is probably going to be the primary example, the primary scenario in almost all of these examples throughout this, you would ask for the data as JSON. Blob is super interesting, and actually I think the first example I want to demonstrate to you today is use blob. Blob kind of means I just want a blob. I just want the binary, I just want the data itself. So for an image that works really well because I just want like the binary data of the pixels, give that stuff to me. That's a blob. There's also form data, which you can imagine if there's some, if you're fetching data, if you're, what do I want to say about that? Oh. There's also form data and array buffer, and those might be some scenarios that we look at some point also. But how does this whole process happen? So it's a two-step process. The first process is to give it the path, then the body comes back, and then you need to ask for one of these things. And the way to sequence these events, everything in JavaScript with fetch happens asynchronously, meaning you're waiting for something to happen and you'll get a callback, an event. But the fetch function works with something called promises. And promises is a way of handling asynchronous events that's part of JavaScript ES6. So if you've never encountered promises before, you could pause this video right now, and I'll link you to some other videos I've made about promises and some other resources, and then come back. But the key thing is that when a promise is resolved, when the asynchronous event is completed, you then, it's funny that I'm writing the word then, you can then, this is making me crazy. I'm just curious about the lag. Oh, it's green. It's green. And by the way, I see people in the chat saying, I can't handle all of the lag. Please, go do something else with your day. This will be available later in archived form, all sorts of stuff. Okay. Kind of want to give myself more room here. I don't know why I wrote it this way. Kind of want to start over now that I have an idea of what I'm doing, but whatever. Let me just at least go back here. So how do you handle this asynchronous event? How do you write code that acts on the data when it's loaded? And the way that works is by using the keyword, the function then. And this is how you handle events with promises. So if I say fetch, I give it, say I have a local file that's an image, rainbow.jpg. I can say .then, and I can add a. So when this function here is going to be code that executes when it has finished loading the file. The tricky thing here is I don't have the data ready in a format that I want. So once it's loaded, I have to write a function that then calls either blob or JSON or text in whatever to basically indicate what format I want the data to be prepared for me in. And that triggers another asynchronous event. So I can say .then, and here is where I can actually use the data. So here is when I want to, say for this, convert the data to a blob, which triggers another promise. Once it gets resolved, then I can actually maybe show the image. So this is the narrative. Now I do this with these even newer keywords in JavaScript called await and async. And I will kind of show you that really quickly at the end of this video because I might use that in some examples. This is the process. Fetch, give it a path to your data, image, text, JSON, etc. Wait for the response. Ask to prepare the data in the format that you want. Then get it in that format and use it. It's red again. Let's write some code. So I'm doing something which I haven't done very much on my channel. Oops, hold on, sorry. Let me actually open this stuff up. Okay. Let's write some code. So I'm doing something that I haven't really ever done on this channel before. Maybe I shouldn't say that because it might happen in previous videos. Let's write some code. So I'm doing something that I do pretty rarely on this channel, which I just have a plain index.html file. And I'm going to actually put my JavaScript in that file in a script tag. Then the HTML elements are here. And there's no dependencies. So fetch is native. I am using the most recent version of the Chrome browser. So fetch is available to me. So I also happen to have in the folder, hold on. Let me just pull that up. I also happen to have in the directory with the index.html file a image called rainbow.jpg. And this image is a, hold on. I also happen to have in the same directory as my HTML file an image file, a public domain image file of a rainbow. So this is the file that I load with the fetch function. So we can see there's only thing right now is I have an H1 element, I have an image element. The source of that image is empty, the ID is rainbow, and I'm something. So if I go to the browser, hit refresh, you can see I console log about to fetch a rainbow, and then it says fetch an image. That should really say rainbow. Fetch a rainbow. Okay, so now what do I want to do? I'm going to call the fetch function, and I'm going to pass it rainbow.jpg. So let's just refresh the page. No, but how do I actually get the stuff? So I said that I need to do then, right? The idea is now I'm going to say then, and I'm going to deal with getting the stuff here. So let me just put a function in here, an anonymous function. And in here I'm going to say function has an argument. I'm going to call it response. So this is the response. Oh, shoot. I'm in the wrong window. And nobody can tell. So let me put in an anonymous function. And in that function, I'm going to say console log. Oh, and this function should take an argument. That argument is response. I'm going to call it response. I could call it anything I want, like I'm even spelling it wrong. I could call it Unikitty. But I'm going to call it response because that makes sense. That's where, when the promise has been resolved, when I get the stuff. So let's just say console log response. Let's refresh the page, and look, there it is. So there's lots of information. Headers, the URL, all sorts of stuff in here. And this is the body. I need to figure out, I need to parse through what's in the body of this response in a way that I can use. And the way that I'm going to do that is with the blob function. So now I'm going to say return response.blob. And I'm going to streamline this code. If you've done JavaScript programming before and you're like, why aren't you using the arrow syntax? And I'm going to streamline this code in a minute, but I'm going to kind of write it in the long-winded way first. So returning response.blob means there's an S, and I can chain them. And I think what I'd like to do is put this down. Well, it's fine. I'm going to say, and I'm going to write another. There we go. I'm going to write another function. Let's actually call it a blob here. And let's say console.log blob. So now you can see this is called a promise chain. I'm fetching the rainbow. Then when I get the response, I'm converting a blob of data. And then let's look at that blob of data. Let's look at what I got wrong. Oops, the camera went off. By the way, if you're just tuning in now, it's working, but I'm kind of pushing forward anyway, just because I've got some stuff that I've got to do. Start getting on these videos. This is actually really just based on the example put out by Mozilla themselves. Let's look at what they do in their basic fetch. Same. Oh, I have to do URL create object URL. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So the true story here is that I can't just insert the blob image.source. Image.source expects a path. Really, usually you put, I could actually just put image.source rainbow.jpg and we're going to see that rainbow there. But that's not what I'm doing here. I'm demonstrating, this is a little bit absurd here. I do want to demonstrate the process of loading the file. And so loading the data of the file itself. So I need to turn that data into the path itself. And I think I can say that through URL, create object URL, and then image. So I need to make a URL out of that blob. So let's look at this, and we can see, there we go. There's the image, and I'm just so you see what it looks like, I'm going to console log image.source, and you can see that's actually, well, no, hold on. That's not what I want to do. Just curious. What does this do? No. Whatever. Let me do this part again. Let me pull up the documentation page. So we have that. Okay, sorry. So the story here, well, oh, it's green again. Every once in a while I look over, it's green and people can actually maybe see me. The true story here is that I can't simply just assign a blob of data to an HTML element's source property. So what I need to do here is I actually need to create a URL out of that data. And in fact, that's what's expected there. I mean, I could actually just put the string rainbow.jpg since the file's there and that's a path. But that's not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to demonstrate the fetch function. So I'm loading a local file, getting the data associated with that file, and then turning it back into a URL path that I can insert into a DOM element. So the way to do that is with a particular function called create object URL. So this function is a function that takes a file, blob, or media source object and creates an object URL from it. So now I can say URL.create object URL blob. And now this is the whole process. Fetch the rainbow. Turn the body of the response from that fetch operation into a blob of data, turn that blob of data into a URL, and insert it into an image element's source attribute. And here we go. Back to here. The rainbow, yay! All right, so this is the whole process, but let's do a couple here to streamline the code. I could have written it the way I'm about to show you originally, but I like to step through things incrementally. So one thing I could do is I can use arrow syntax, which is a shorthand way of defining a function. Instead of using the keyword function, I can say equals greater than with arrow, right? And then here I can also do the same thing with the blob. So this is a way of sort of streamlining shorthand the function. Now, another thing I can do is I don't actually need to have this console.log. So I can actually remove these curly brackets and remove the return keyword and actually just write it like this. So when this is a really nice shorthand, any error that occurs throughout this entire process will end up down here. So I don't have to have a handling thing for every single one. And you thought this video was over. Let's make one more small improvement on this. Let's actually run this and make sure it's working. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, unexpected token error. So I'm always making syntax errors when I'm writing code. This needs a parentheses, right? One more parentheses there because, oh, and this should look like this. There we go. So this was also function. I was so close. That was way off what I just wrote there. So hopefully I didn't confuse you there, but sometimes I leave this nice for you to see the mistakes and kind of maybe correct them in your head while you're watching. But, so this is, I'm taking the error, and in fact, because this is just one line of code, I could also streamline this and get rid of this semicolon, and now this is our final result, except for one more thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to fetch the rainbow, I'm going to turn the response into I'm going to get the blob, I'm going to insert it in the DOM element, and if any error happens, I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to refresh, and look, there we go. We fetched the rainbow. Now you know what fetch does. Just because I can, I'm going to, a little bit longer, I'm going to do one more thing. If I wanted to, I could write my own function called fetch rainbow, find that function as async, and I have a set of videos that goes through how this works in a bit more detail. Async function, fetch rainbow. And so I'll refer you to those in this description of this video as well. But basically what this allows me to do is call fetch using the keyword await. So await is a keyword that allows me to write a sequence of that return promises without using .then. So I can say just constant response equals fetch rainbow. This is an asynchronous function, so I need to say await. Then I can say constant blob equals await response dot blob. And then I can just do these last two pieces right here. And now we can see this is the same code, but I'm using await and the async and await keywords. So I'm writing an async function called fetch rainbow. I convert it to a blob, then I insert it into the DOM element, and let's just see if this works. We still have the, yay! All right, so hopefully this video gives you a sense of what the fetch function is, how you use it, how it integrates with JavaScript promises, as well as await keywords. And this will give you the sort of foundational element for when fetch appears in all sorts of other examples and tutorials that involve from an API or a local file or other things. And in fact, even though fetch is something that's just here in the browser, I'm going to show you fetch in server-side programming with JavaScript in Node.js as well in a future video. Thanks for watching. All right, let me say, I probably should have added the error handling here. Yeah. Let me see. Wow, it's still the lag. I thought maybe the lag would sort of clean itself up. Yeah, I've tried to fix, Snake asks, did he try to fix it? I tried to fix the lag many times. I think it has to do with my cold, frankly. So let me, I'm going to add, I'm going to add a little bit of stuff. One more thing about writing your own asynchronous function using the async keyword. This function, right, everything's happening asynchronously in here. This is really just what's syntactic sugar to make the way you write your code easier to read and follow, but ultimately it's all about asynchronous events. So this, in fact, by definition, automatically returns a promise. So I could just do something like, say, return yay, right? This is very silly, but I'm just going to return the word yay. And then I could add, if I wanted to check to have an event for when this finishes, I can actually say .then. I can say response console.log response, and then I can also say .catch. Go to another line, please. I can say .catch and error console.log error. So this is a very simple way of doing some type of error handling where I have now written the async function to use fetch, and when it's done, I could return more information, right? I could actually design a whole sort of like protocol and do stuff here, but I just want to see that it worked to console log that, or if there was an error, to console log the error, and I should get in the habit of saying console.error instead of console.log for an error itself. Okay, let's run this. Yay, and it still works. All right, so this video, hopefully what I've done now is shown you how to use the fetch function. What is the fetch function? What does it do? How it integrates with JavaScript promises, as well as the async and await keyword. These are not the easiest topics to wrap your head around, so you might want to refer to some of the supplementary material about promises and async await. But this function, fetch, will serve the basis for so many other examples that you'll see throughout this series, whether it's loading a CSV file of some tabular data, it's loading a JSON file from an API, URL, you're going to need the fetch function. And in fact, the fetch function works. I hear a very loud, piercing, high-pitched noise. And in fact, the fetch function also can be used in Node. Now, it's not natively available in Node.js like it is in the browser, but there's ways of gaining access to it. And at some point, when server-side programming becomes something we use here as well, I will show you that too. So maybe if you're trying to think of an exercise to do, take exactly this code, use your own image. Could you load multiple images, more than one? Is that high-pitched sound coming through? I have to wait till it goes away. I think someone's like wheeling furniture in the hallway and it's like squeaking. It's like the highest pitched sound ever. I got Snake's name wrong. Maybe it's just Snake. Oh, that high noise came through. Ugh. I'm going to record the ending to this again. I probably should just come back and do this whole thing. All right. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Maybe everything just needed to freeze and crash, which is what just happened. So that was definitely an issue on my end, where the Open Broadcast Studio froze. And and I am not seeing the chat right now, so I have no idea what's going on. This has been quite the live stream day. And I'm seeing green, so I think the quality is quite good right now. Ironically. Maybe that's all we needed. All right, unfortunately, the very bad news is when Open Broadcast Studio crashes, it corrupts the recording to disk file. So all of my oh, don't worry, I'm recording this to disk. There must be a way to recover it, because if I look at the file, it says, desktop. It says it's 2 gigabytes. So there's a 2 gigabyte file there. It just the video didn't get closed out properly. So I'm not able to open it. But maybe there's a way to recover it. If anybody knows, please get in touch how to recover a record to disk file that's corrupted when Open Broadcast Studio crashes. Please let me know. Ironically, everything is working now. Let me try to do my little end spiel. Thanks, XNick. Might be worth, Tasteful Toasty writes, might be worth mentioning you can fetch Rainbow then console log. Oh, instead of, yes. Yes. That is true. Okay. Oh, FFmpeg will let me recover the file with broken end of file. Okay, that's good to know. That'll be great if that works. I will try that. If, Paratosh, if you could maybe get in touch, Daniel at thecodingtrain.com, if you know any FFmpeg commands. That's my sort of publicly available email address for this channel that you can write to. Okay. Wow, I'm still seeing green. This is kind of amazing. All right. Thanks, Tasteful Toasty. I'm going to mention that. So this wraps up this particular video. This is the code that I'm going to leave you with one minor change. It was pointed out to me recently that I could even streamline this a bit further, because if all I'm doing is taking the response and passing it through a function like console log, I can actually just reference the function itself, and I can do the same thing with the error. So this is actually yet another slightly streamlined way of doing this. And in the end, in JavaScript, there's always one more way. You could remove a tiny little bit of code, but sometimes I like to write it out in longer-winded ways to be really clear and explicit what's happening. Let's make sure this really does work. Still works. Okay, so this is the code I'm leaving you with. It uses the fetch function to pull data from a local file, but that could be a URL path. It then takes that file, converts the data in the body to a blob, takes that blob and makes a URL out of it, and inserts it into a DOM element so we can see the image in the window itself, in the browser page itself. So what I would suggest you use, first of all, try to get this to work yourself. Use your own image file. What happens if you load a text file? Could you load a text file and then display all that text in a paragraph element? That's a great exercise for you to try. What if you want to load 3 image files? Could you do that in a loop with an array? How would you do that? So those are a couple exercises that I suggest that you try following watching this video, and I will include solutions to those also in the links that are available in this video's description. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. So Aryaman asks, on line 30, why didn't you do /* instead of //? You know, I don't have a good reason. There's really never a reason for anything I do other than arbitrariness and what I'm used to. But I have like muscle memory for doing this, which is a shortcut in VS Code, command /. I probably could configure it to command / use the /*, because everything you can do in VS Code, that's what I'm used to. OK. So I'm going to put this aside. This will become a video tutorial about fetch. I might just come back and do it again, but this is going into, I have now made my first video for the Data and APIs series. This is coming somewhere in here. Oh boy, this might actually be like the first video, now that I think about it. So I have to think about where this fits, because I didn't actually use JSON data, but but this will go somewhere in here. Okay. All right. The stream seems to be working, right? No lag. Is there any lag right now? Because oh, I did this wrong. Look at me, always doing it wrong. Yes, of course, I did it wrong. I meant to do that. Right. This is what I meant to do. I will do that one more time. So close. Okay, here we go. 3rd time's the charm. Or in my case, 30th time is the charm. Oh no. Okay. this wraps up the video. This is the code that I'm going to leave you with. I will point out there is, and this was pointed out to me. I like to write things often in as long-winded a way as possible to be clear and explicit about what's going on for teaching purposes. But this is what's also sometimes referred to as a lambda function, this arrow function syntax. Because I'm taking the response and passing it through console.log, I can actually just pass in to then the console log function itself, the name of it, as well as in catch, just pass in the console.error. So this is even condensing it down even further. But of course, if I needed to do more custom stuff, I'd have to write a full function definition in there. But let's just run this to make sure, But let's just run this to make sure it still works. And it does. All right. So what are some things that you can do with this now? Now that you know how to use the fetch function, try this exercise. Using exactly this code, load a local text file and display the data from that text file in a DOM element instead of using an image. Another thing you might try is, what if you have 3 images? Could you do this somehow in a loop? Could you write one function that does all 3 images? How would you handle that? So those are some exercises that I would suggest completing before you move on to the next video. And I will also include solutions to those exercises in this video's description. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video in this series of videos that you're watching. Maybe. Goodbye. All right. Did I get it right this time? And now the stream is working. It's noon. I really have to go in like a half an hour. My energy is sort of picking up though. I'm gonna do my Angry Birds challenge because I gotta leave today with something more than what I've got so far. Because of the lag, it took me an hour and a half to just do like hopefully what is ultimately just a 15-minute video about the fetch function. Okay. All right, everyone. We're going to have some fun now. Oops, what is password here? Sorry, I have to look up. Really? All right, I have to look up the password in my password manager. Give me a second here. Okay. What is the minimum size code I can get away with? Can I get away with this, 36 point? Can I get away with 32 point? Pull this over a tiny bit. I guess I could permanently leave this open. And it's amazing that the stream is totally working now. 30 point would probably be fine. Is this a reasonable code size? I really shouldn't, I don't like to use the web editor for challenges that are kind of complicated that I might need to do a lot of like serious debugging. So hopefully this is okay. I usually use a bigger font, but let's see. So, and let's do this. Okay. Nope, 600 will be fine. All right. All right, everyone. Let me get, oh, the camera went off. I'm going to do something very ill-advised right now, but I'm feeling my oats. I'm feeling my strength return into my body. My coffee is completely empty. That's bad. I'm getting notifications popping up. Just give me a second here. This is such a bad idea. Pretty sure that's the right URL. Yep. Oh, I forgot. I need my coding train characters. Oh, I might be able to stay till 1. Okay, I need my coding train characters. Where are they? Give me a second here. Oh. So this URL, I think, has a mistake in it. This is not the minified version? This looks like the minified version. Maybe it's not. If .min to the URL, like this? No. I think I'm right, because I've got matter.min.js there. Yeah, this is the non-minified. Okay. 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 Nope. Oh, I can just type in unpackage.com. Oh, I didn't realize I could do that. That's what you're saying. I can just just type this in, it redirects me, and then I can thank you. Oh, so I'm gonna do that. Great. Even better. I'm gonna do that. I'm not even gonna keep track of that. All right. Okay. Okay. Oh, I wish. All right. I'm sorry to disappoint some of you who were, particularly David, I know, who was hoping that I would talk about making a processing library. That's unfortunately not going to happen today, but I'm going to try to do this coding challenge. I'm going to let this be one video, and I'm going to really hope that the edited version of this is less than an hour, and that the non-edited version of this is also less than an hour, but we'll see how this goes. Hello, welcome to a coding challenge, Angry Birds. Although my birds won't be angry, they're going to be loving birds. But maybe they won't even be birds, they'll be like cute little coding train characters. But that's not the point. I am going to program a version, a much simpler, simplified version of an Angry Birds style clone. I'm going to use P5.js, I'm going to use a physics library called Matter.js, and I'm going to get started in one moment. But first, let me diagram out what I need. So I'm going to use an object-oriented programming approach. I'm going to need something called like a box. So this will be a box class. I'm going to need something like a bird. We'll just call it a bird for right now. This will be the bird class, right? The birds. I mean, there could be pigs or not pigs. The point is, I need to have, and I also need the ground. So I'm going to start my simplified Angry Birds is going to have a single box, a single bird. The box is sitting on the ground. I'm going to want to toss the bird at the box and knock it over. And from there, the glorious games throughout the universe that you will make maybe will follow. I'm going to do all this in the P5 web editor, which usually it's a pretty complicated project to try to do, but I'm going to do that anyway. And then if I have time, I think I'm going to want to try to attach this particular bird in a slingshot-like way. Use a constraint, some type of spring-like connection to a little post so I can pull it back and let it go. So let's see if I can get all of that. And I'm not going to break out into song right now as much as I am tempted to do so. All right, so first, I'm not going to work. So I'm going to use the physics library Matter.js. JS. This is the P5 web editor. I'm going to use P5 for all of the drawing stuff, and I'm going to use the physics library Matter.js for handling all of the physics. Now, Matter.js does have rendering built into it, but I'm going to do things my sort of way of combining both libraries so that I can do all of the rendering custom in P5, and maybe by the end of this video have some of my coding train characters inside of this little game that we make. All right, so first I want to take an object-oriented approach, and I'm going to do add file. And I want to add, I need a bird.js, and I'm gonna make something called a box.js. And I think I'm gonna be able to use the box for both I'm gonna use the box class for both this thing that can actually get knocked over and the ground, which needs to be something immobile, static. So what does a box need to have? A box needs to have, it needs to have an x, needs to have a y, needs to have a width, and it needs to have a height. And I'm going to require that all of those arguments are passed in via the constructor. Then I'm going to, and so I need to put the arguments in here, x, y, w, h. And I need to, what do I need to do? I'm going to write a show function. And in here, I'm just going to say, I'm going to use fill to make it white. And I'm going to say rectangle, this.x, this.y, this.w, this.h. Okay? So this is the basic idea of a box class with no physics. This is just the data about a box, and this is me drawing it. So now, in the main sketch, I'm going to say let ground, I'm going to have a global variable called ground. I'm going to say ground equals a new box, and it's going to be, the x is going to be at 0, the y is going to be at like height minus 20, and the width will be the full width of the window, and the height will be 20. And then I'm going to say ground.show. Now it's giving me all sorts of errors, like it has no idea what a box is. And the reason why it has no idea what a box is because even though I added a new JavaScript file, I didn't add it to my index.html. So let me go and add it to index.html, box.js. And there we go, look. Step 1 is done. I have the ground. The ground is there now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a box. I'm going to just call it a box. A box is another new box, and let's put it over to the side in some arbitrary place and say box.show. There it is. I want it to be tall. I don't know what I'm doing exactly yet, but something like this. Something like this. Maybe a little less. I don't know what. So this will be that. It needs to sit over on the ground. So let's put it over a little further, and let's put it further down. There, close enough, but I want to move it over some. There we go. Okay, so that's the thing that I need to throw my bird at. Now, I need another class. I'm going to do add file, and I'm going to call this bird. Oh, look, when did it's like knows what I'm going to do in advance. Isn't that crazy? I think I've written other things in the P5 editor with a bird.js. Oh, no, I already did that. I added it before. No, I'm just losing my mind. You're watching me slowly lose my mind while being a person on the internet coding stuff without a timer. I'm not using the timer this time. Bird.js, class bird. And I'm just, I probably could maybe use inheritance here where I made some videos about recently, but I'm just going to do like a sort of horrible copy paste job. But I'm going to change this to an R to indicate radius because my bird is going to be a circle and this .r. And now I can say let bird equals a new bird, and it'll be at like 50 pixels over, 300 pixels down, and with a radius of 25. And it doesn't know what bird is yet again because I now also need to add bird.js to my index.html file. Okay. Where's my bird? Tweet, tweet. Tra-la, 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 be like the bluebird who always is blue. I'm just reliving my high school musical singing days. What was that show? Anything Goes, I think? Anyway, there's no video on the internet because I'm too old. But if I was younger, there'd be a video on the internet of somewhere, me in a musical in high school. That aside, I've got the bird. So I've got the bird, I've got the box. These are all the elements. So I have all the elements that I want in my scene. Ultimately, I'm going to want to have like a stack of boxes and use images to make this have more personality. But the next thing that I need to do is add physics. Now, I could use I could start adding some functions to do all the physics myself, but I would like to use a physics engine. The Matter.js library is released through NPM, Node Package Manager, so I can go and everything NPM, it's already like appearing in because I looked for it before I started this, but if I just go to unpkg, unpackage, which is the content delivery network for NPM packages, and do Matter.js, and hit enter, we can see this is the URL for the Matter.js library. I want to get the minified version of it. So I'm going to also add .min.js. So now I have this particular URL. I can go back to the P5 web editor, index.html, and I can, I'm just going to like paste it here for a second. I'm going to grab one of these. These are the script tags for the P5 library, right? And so instead of, I've got P5, P5 DOM, P5 sound, and now I want to add Matter.js as a library. So these are now all of my libraries and all of my custom JavaScript code. And if I go back to sketch.js and bring this back over here, everything's still working. Let's make sure the Matter.library has loaded. If I just say console log Matter, we can see, yes, stuff is coming out here. The library is loaded. That would obviously say, if I hadn't loaded that library, I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Now let's add some physics. So whenever I have a whole bunch of tutorials about the Matter.js library, so I don't need to spend, I can refer you to those if you want more background, but basically I need to establish this idea of an engine object and a world object. The world is talking about the environment, and then each one of these things will be a body. This will be a rectangular body, this will be a rectangular body, and this will be a circular body. So my classes, box and bird, I'm going to make them wrappers to have inside of them a piece of data which refers to the actual Matter.js body. So the first thing that I need to do, I think, is let's have a world and an engine. And then I think I say engine equals matter. Well, I think I better do this first. Engine equals matter.engine.create. I don't know, I'm guessing. I think that's right. I'm having done this before. And then I think the world is actually created when I create the engine. I can just grab it from the world. So now I have the matter engine and the matter world. Then inside of my objects, what I want to do, let's just do the box first. So here, instead of having an x, a y, and a width and a height, although I think I might keep the width and a height just to store it, I now want to add this dot body equals matter.bodies.rectangle. This is a function that in the matter library will create a rectangular body object for me. And I can give it, I'm going to do this first. This box object no longer is going to have its own x and y. It's just going to give the matter body the x and the y. So I'm going to say x, y. I think this is actually what it gets. And then I need to say matter.world.add to the world this.body. So I need to actually put it in the world. So it's complaining to me. Oh, no, sorry. So what happened to the box? Oh, I took out this.x.y. So now the whole point of this is in show, I want to ask. I want to say, hey, matter. I want to say, give me a position, which is this.body's position. And now I'm going to draw the rectangle at pos.x and pos.y. Now, there may be a way, in fact, that I could dig into the body and get its width and height, but I'm just going to store those out of convenience for myself. The size of these rectangles is never going to change, so I can keep that. There is a big issue here, though, which is that one is that once I start adding the physics, the box could wobble, meaning it could rotate. So I'm also going to want to get an angle. And I am going to want to then draw it with rotation. So I'm going to say push, I'm going to say pop, I'm going to say translate pos.x, pos.y, and then the rectangle's at 0, 0, and I'm going to rotate by that angle. Okay, there's another little weird nuance here. So for myself, I like to think about placing the rectangle with the x, y in the corner, and then the width and the height. And that's the default behavior of P5. But Matter.js, when you make a rectangular or circular object, the XY position for that object is always in the center. So this actually, I've told Matter.js where the object is and drawn it in a different place. So I need to reconcile those two things. So to reconcile those two things, there's a few different ways I could do it. One is first, I should say rect mode center, so that I'm drawing, but now you can see everything's off in a weird place, which is maybe fine. Maybe I just need to rethink where I'm placing the stuff. For example, the ground would be now at width divided by 2, height minus 10. So that's the same thing. So that's fine. That's one way of doing it. And my rectangle is in a weird place. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to position stuff, and I obviously could use some math to get it to rest perfectly on the ground, but I'm not going to worry about that. Still, there's no physics happening. Why is there no physics happening? I created the body, I added it to the world. It's because I'm not running the engine. So what I need to do, draw is my loop. So basically I need to say every time through draw, step forward in time. So I think I can just say engine.run. No. It must be like this. Engine.run engine. I could also look it up in the documentation. No. Time out for a second. Update. I looked it up. I probably could have shown you me looking it up, but it's not. How do you look this stuff up? Let me show you looking it up. So if I go here and I go under engine and I scroll through here, I could be like, oh, where's that engine.run function? Oh, it is there. How interesting. But that's not, oh, I forgot to say matter.engine, but that's actually not what I want. I want to use update. I think there's two different ways of doing things. Engine.run will just set the engine running, but I want to lockstep my P5 animation loop with my matter physics engine, so I'm going to use update. So, and what I'm going to do then is in here, I'm going to say engine.update, but I need to say matter.engine.update, and there we go. Oh! Did you see that? The physics is happening. Oh! But the ground fell out below us. We're sinking. It's okay, everybody. We can violate the laws of physics and create an object with infinite mass that never moves. The ground can be known as a static. It can be a static object. So objects that you create in Matter.js, the physics engines, can be static or dynamic. By default, they're dynamic. So the tricky thing here is I'm using the same box class to describe both the ground and that rectangle. So I could separate them if they really are different or use inheritance, but maybe, and let's, oh, why not? Let's use inheritance. This will be fun. I've been talking about inheritance. Let's use it. So I'm going to add another file. I don't know if this is the best technique. I'm going to call it ground. And I'm going to say class ground. Oh, there's a problem with this idea, but it's fine. Extends, extends. What am I extending? Box. And then I'm going to say constructor. It's going to get an x, y, width, and a height. I'm going to say super x, y, width, and height. So now this is, the ground is a class that inherits everything from box. If you don't know about inheritance, I'll refer you to my video about that. And I could go into sketch, and I can now say ground equals new ground. And it's not defined because I have to add it to my index.html. There it is. Hello. All right. Now, we're still class ground. Class ground constructor. Ground is not defined. Oh, what have I done wrong? Where's my chat? Where's my help? Ground.js, class ground extends box. Box is not defined. Oh! Wow, something really crazy happened. I kind of forgot that the order that, it usually doesn't matter for me because I don't have anything really happen until the setup function in draw and everything has loaded, but I can't reference the ground.js JavaScript file before box.js because it's extending box, and as it's loading the DOM, it's got to look at the box file first. So this actually is one of the rare instances where I've got to put this script tag before that one. No? Oh no, that's the bird. Yes, this is going to work any second now. Yes. Okay, oh, it still goes away. So now I need to figure out how do I just change one thing to make this static. Can I do this? This.body is static equals true. Yay! Okay, so this is the idea of I have a whole other kind of body that extends box. It does everything the same way, but I can set an additional variable is static to true. And so now when this runs, we've got our Angry Bird box thing over there, and now we're ready to start working with our bird. Ooh, okay, so let's work with our bird now. So we need to get rid of the x and the y. I'm going to say this dot body equals matter dot bodies dot circle x, y, r. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to worry about, well, I should worry about rotation. So let me, I'm going to, I'm going to sort of cheat a little bit by just copying this over because I don't feel like typing right now, and then just change this to circle and this dot r, and there we go. And then I also should say matter dot, matter dot world dot add this dot body to the world, or this dot body to the world. There we go. You can see, oh, it's rolling away. All right, excellent. So now, here we're kind of almost there. All I need to do is be able to, toss. I want to be able to toss this thing. So I want to be able to toss this bird over here to this rectangle. How do I do that? Maybe I do an if statement to see if I click the mouse inside it, then I grab it. Well, one of the nice things that Matter.js provides is this very general thing called a mouse constraint. So I can add, I'm going to add, and this is a little tricky. I'm definitely going to have to look this up. I'm going to call this M constraint, or like mouse thing. I can't think of a variable name for this. Let's use M constraint for mouse constraint. And then I'm going to say M constraint equals matter dot, all right, we're going to have to look this up. So we're going to go here under constraint. And what I want is mouse constraint. This is what I want. I want a mouse constraint. Create engine options, okay? So this is what I want, matter.mouseConstraint.create. So I'm going to say matter.mouseConstraint, was capital, mouseConstraint.create, and give it the engine. Okay, so look at this. Options.mouse was undefined. Options.element was undefined. May not function as expected. So Matter.js is giving me a nice warning here, explaining that, well, you made this mouse constraint, but you need to tell me where you're going to be clicking the mouse. I need to know where you're clicking the mouse. And where I am clicking the mouse is in the canvas. So I could, does the canvas is a DOM element? Does it have an ID? Well, one of the nice things about using P5 is I can just store in a variable the result of create canvas, which is this canvas object, and I should be able to now say, I should be able to give it some options. And I'm not sure, and then so I can add a second argument here, which is options, and I think I need to give it mouse, null. I'm just going to put things as null, and then element, null. So maybe this is canvas.elt. Cannot read property button of null. One of these is like the canvas element. Okay, time out for a second. Yes. Yes, Alka, thank you. I'm going to do that aliasing. Oh. All right, I'm back after looking up what I need to do. So what I forgot is that I need this mouse. So I need a separate mouse object that I can use to create and manipulate those mouse inputs. One of the interesting things, there's a live chat going on right now as I'm recording this, and Alka wrote a nice suggestion for aliasing all these matter dot things. You notice how I'm having to write matter dot, matter dot, matter dot everywhere? So I'm going to actually just go over here and take I can use this, I forget what this is called, but this is kind of a newfangled JavaScript thing where I can basically just make a nice list of all these objects I want. Engine, world, mouse constraint, and I'm going to maybe use constraint, and I can just set that all equal to matter. So basically, this is me aliasing everything that's matter.engine, matter.world, matter.bodies. So in theory, I should be able to just say engine now here. This makes things a little bit easier, just mouse constraint here. So my code is a little bit more succinct, and I'll go back and fix that in other places as necessary. But what I need here is a mouse, and I need to say constant matter mouse, I'll just call it mouse, equals mouse.create canvas.elt. So I need to make a mouse object with the DOM element associated with the canvas. And then I believe I can just put this here under options. And now, here we go. Let me bring this all the way back. Dare I say, oh no, oh, so close. Oh, what did I forget? I probably have to add it to the world. World.add world m constraint. Yay, look, now I can pick this stuff up and I can toss it. Oh, look, come on, I can do better. Yay, oh, goodbye. Okay, so in some ways I could consider that I'm done, right? This could be the end of the video. You could make your own version, you could add some graphics, but let's do a little bit more with this. Time out for a second, I need to blow my nose. There's this disgusting pile of my dirty tissues over there. Okay, sorry, Simon. I did see Simon first posted in the chat about aliasing, and then I'm using the syntax, the update, then Alco replied with some different syntax. So apologies for the misreference there. I'm thinking, what am I doing next here? Let's add the slingshot. I think I should add the slingshot. Right? I think I'll add the slingshot. Or should I add the more boxes? Let me add more boxes. What's left to do? I want to add a few more boxes. I want to put images instead of just these boxes and circles. And I think I should try to add a slingshot, even though right now I could kind of just toss it. But okay, well, the first thing would be just adding more boxes. So I'm going to change box to boxes. And I am going to now have a little for loop. I is 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. And then I'm going to say, instead of a single box, I'm going to say boxes index I equals a new box. And then here I am going to then say for let box of boxes, little for loop, draw them all. So now you can see, oh, look at that. What's so crazy is when I start them all at the same point, that two objects cannot occupy the same space in the world of physics. So they like burst off from each other. But let's do something like, say, 300 minus I times 75, which will stack them. So now I have a little stack of boxes, and then I can toss it, and there we go. Oh, I didn't knock them over. Oh, whoa, I threw it over. So there's some nuance here to how physics engines work and how I'm going to need to create some balance in the system. One of the things there is I probably need to increase the number of iterations per update in order for it not to be able to move so fast as to jump over the stuff. But let me just run this again. I want to really see if I can knock those things over. Yay, I knocked them over. I could also play around with the properties like restitution and friction, which are physics attributes of each of these objects, restitution being elasticity or bounciness. So maybe towards the end of this video I'll try adding that. But now we're in pretty good shape. So let me add the slingshot. So what I did right now is I created this idea of a mouse constraint. And a mouse constraint is this very generic constraint that just like anytime I click on something, it'll make a little spring-like connection between where I click the mouse and the object so I can move it around. But what I want is actually to introduce a constraint maybe right here that's fixed and only attached to the bird itself. I'm going to say that again because I just hit my mic in case that made some horrible noise. Make a constraint that's fixed and only that's fixed to this point and only attached to this particular bird. And I think it's probably smart for me to wrap this into a class because I'm really going all in on this object-oriented programming approach. So let me make another JavaScript file called slingshot.js. And let me just write out the outset, remember that I need to refer to slingshot.js, then class slingshot. So what does a slingshot need? So it needs, I think it needs an x and a y, like where is the point from which this object will be attached? And then it needs, oh, no, that's not where these go. It needs an x and a y, and then it needs a body. Like what's, people are asking about my age in the chat. Just so you know, I use a very soft focus. It makes me appear much younger. You'd see if you took that video of me. I don't actually, but on the street, there's, anyway, whatever. All right, what was I saying? I need a point and a body. So now I'm going to create, let's call this.sling, call it equals constraint.create, and then options. I think this is how that works, and this should be constraint. Constraint. So I'm going to make up some options now. So I need to configure that constraint. So the constraint can be something that's between two bodies or between a point and a body. So I'm going to make it between a point, which is, I'm going to have to look this up. Wait, pause for a second. Do I need to look in the documentation? I said matter.engine and draw, okay. Wait. Oh, point, yeah. Yeah, I knew that, sorry. The two things I want to be connected with this constraint are a point, which I'll call point A. This is in the Matter.js documentation specs. Point A, which is an object with an x, which will be what I pass in, and a y, which will be what I pass in. And then also it needs to be connected to something else, body B. So I think it could be body A and body B, or point A and body B. There's different ways you can configure it, but I want a point and a body. I could make another body that's a static body, I guess, but a point is the equivalent to that. So then the body is going to be, oh, I don't think I need an object here, just this particular body. And that doesn't, no semicolons. Then I want to say world.add this to the world, this.sling. And the other things that are part of a constraint, I believe, I forget the actual, is stiffness, like how, it's like a spring connection, how stiff is it? So I think that's actually just called stiffness. And let's actually look in the Matter.js documentation, constraint, and under properties, body A, damping, ID, label, point A, point B, render, blah, 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 stiffness. A value of 1 means the constraint should be very stiff. A value of 0.2 means the constraint acts like a soft spring. So let's just try, just to start with, let's try 0.5. And then a length is very important. What is the rest length of that spring? Let's make it like 20 pixels. OK. So now I've created this slingshot. I also think it would make sense for me to draw it. So I'm going to do a show. I'm going to make a show function, and I'm going to say stroke 255, and I'm going to draw a line. Well, let's make pos A equal this.sling.point A, and pos B equals this.sling.body.position. These are the two things that the sling, the string, the spring, the connection, the constraint is attached to. So draw a line from pos A dot x, pos A dot y, pos B dot x, pos B dot y. Oh, I haven't, so I think, by the way, I'm writing this class, I didn't even make the slingshot. So now I need to go into sketch.js, and I'm going to make a variable called slingshot. I'm going to say slingshot equals a new slingshot, and I need to give it a x and a y, which, where did I make the bird? 5300, let's just put it at the same place. And then I need to connect it to the bird's body. You can see already, look, this is kind of like stuck somewhere, right? This is great, but let me draw it because I think that'll make it more obvious. Slingshot show. And what did I call it? Slingshot show, pos B. Cannot, body B. Body B, it's point A and body B. So if I do this, right, you can see, there it is. Now, okay, there's some goofiness here. So one thing that's really weird is that if I drag the mouse off, the mouse constraint gets confused and thinks it's stuck. So that's just an interaction design problem that I have to iron out at some point. Let's change a few things, like let's make the bird much smaller. Let's move everything over a little bit, just to give me a little space here. So now we can see, and maybe I should make that rest length a little bit longer. There we go. And maybe the stiffness should be a little bit less. There we go. So I'm pulling this back. The idea is that I'm going to pull it back and let go, and I want it to fly. Interesting. Why is it kind of stopping there? Is that the stiffness? Oh yeah, maybe I want it even less stiff. Okay, so we're getting there. I have this slingshot now. Now, how do I release it? I have to come up with a way of releasing this. Oh dear. So when I release the mouse, how do I do this? If it's moving at a particular speed, if the velocity reaches a certain magnitude, let's try that. I need a way somehow to launch this bird off of the slingshot. Like the slingshot should be broken, and it should, well, the constraint should be broken, and it should go flying. So first, let me at least create a mechanism for that. So let me write a function here, and I'll call it fly. And I think if I just say body, this dot sling body b equals null. Like if I just detach the body, then the thing that's attached to it will go flying. So let's just try let's just add, just as a test, a key pressed function. If key equals space, then slingshot.fly. So again, I need to figure out when it should be flying. But if I just hit the space bar, cannot read property position of null, slingshot line 24. So, okay, so only if this dot sling, if there is a body attached, then should I bother to draw the line. Okay? So I need to also not draw the line if there's no body. So let me run it and then hit, there we go. We can see, now could I possibly time it? Like now my interaction is I have to do this. Yeah! But I shouldn't have to hit the space bar, right? I shouldn't have to hit the space bar. So how can I determine a time where I should have it fly? What if I were to get the body's speed, right? So can I say console.log body b? Whoops, sorry. What if I could somehow get, what if I could, What if I could look at the body's velocity? Wait a sec, I'm getting some suggestions. So I don't want to, Paratosh in the chat is saying, make it so when you release the mouse, the event triggers. That's not going to work, I don't think. Oh, I can also say world.remove, world.thisSling. But I want to keep the sling because I'm going to reattach it. Okay. 0.9 seconds later. Yeah, I could do a set timeout. That's an interesting idea. So a suggestion came in the chat to just look at when the mouse is released. I think this isn't going to work timing-wise, but let's try it. What if I just write function mouse released, which is a global P5 event for when I release the mouse, and there I could just say slingshot fly. So now I'm pulling this back and I release the mouse. See, it didn't have a chance to move. Before it could start pulling it, so I could use like set timeout. This is kind of ridiculous. I could, and then like do it in like 50 milliseconds later. Is that right? Maybe it should be more like 100 milliseconds later. Oh, that's actually kind of great. That worked. Weirdly, just giving it a little time later, I was going to go through this whole thing of testing its speed. You know what? This is good enough. I think you could probably, those of you watching, you might want to come up with a different solution. But I'm surprised that this actually worked. Just a little set timeout. Just give it 100 milliseconds later. Thank you to beta tester 704, who maybe was the one who suggested that. So this is great. We have Angry Birds. Now, one thing I should say is, like, at some point I want to be able to like have a new bird. And so there's a variety of ways I could do that. Let's use key pressed. We'll just use a key press right now, and I could say this. I could remake the bird, and then I could say slingshot.attach this bird.body, and then in slingshot, I could say attach, get a body, and I could say this.sling.body b equals that new body. So here, now what I should be able to do is I should be able to let it fly, knock the stuff over, and then, oh sure, I want to probably detect when it should do this. I can hit space, oh no, sorry, yeah, whoops, space, and then, oh there's a big flaw here in my system. I'm not going to worry about it. This is good enough because I could first of all, I can use the mouse constraint. The mouse constraint will let me do anything, and then I can also release. When I release the box, also the bird gets released. But you, the viewer, these things can be cleaned up. These are interaction design problems. There are better solutions, but this is kind of exciting. I've got the basics of Angry Birds here. Amr writes, you should utilize the concept of potential and kinetic energy for it. It's just a pure projectile thing. So I would love to see somebody make a variation on this and submit it to thecodingtrain.com. There's a way that you can submit your versions and doing that. But I just got one more thing I want to do. I want to add some images to this. I could add sounds, but that's not really me. I'm going to add some images. So give me a second. I'm going to be right back with some images. Oh, how do I get it to this? Yeah. So Simon says, if I say world, remove world, this sling, it would keep the sling, just remove it from the world, and I could add it back in. That's actually, and then I could actually just reuse the same bird, but, oh, there's another big problem. Yes. Before I add the images, there is kind of a big bug here that I really should fix, which is that when I put the new bird in, There's actually another bird. That old bird is still here. I'm just not drawing it anymore. Maybe I want it there, right? It should actually is there, or maybe I should remove it. But probably before, right now, I should just say world.remove bird.body world. And it's the other way around. So I believe this, right? Let me see if I can show you what I mean, right? I'm going to shoot this over there. Now notice this is here. I'm not going to see it anymore, but I'm going to try to shoot it right over there again. Right? See how it hit the invisible thing? So let me remove it, and that should fix that. So if I do this, and it's there, and then I do this again. Oh, I do this again. Anyway, you can see it's gone. It's removing it. So there are different ways that I could approach this. Simon in the chat is pointing out that instead of just making the body B of the slingshot null, I could actually remove the slingshot. I could reuse the same bird by just resetting its position. So again, you might have a different take on this, refactor this in a different way, but I've got the basic idea down. Now, I want to start adding images. So what I've pulled up is I have my coding trained characters. Let's see, this makes sense. What would be good? Oh, we should definitely use the this dot for those like rectangles. And then maybe am I an angry bird? This looks kind of angry, or this. Maybe we'll use this little square thing to fly. Okay, so let's grab so let me edit these files a little bit. I'll be right back. Because I couldn't do it in Photoshop, and then I could like actually trim it to the edge. But I'm just going to do this myself. Good enough. I'm going to call this the dot. I'm going to do image size. Let's make it like 75 pixels high, so 34 by 75, okay. Oh, did I cut off its top? I think I did. I totally did. There's a function in Photoshop like trim that I could use, just lazy. $75. No. I know. 30, 75, 33 by 75 is the dot. I guess I'm cutting off its top. I don't care. Dot, and then this will be my bird. Oh, but I should have something more circular. That's fine. This should be, oh, you know what I can do? Oh, I have the emoji ones. That's what I should be doing. I actually have it 30 by 30. So let me just get this. I'm changing my mind. Let's move this over here. Oh, this is already 30 by 30. And so wait, let's use this, the semicolon. Let's look at the emoji one. Sorry, this is what I meant. Let's grab this one. And let's do the, oh, maybe this will be good. This will be good. Let's use this one. Or is the emoji one's going to be better? Is it a little simpler? No, I like it being more of a, so let's do this. Is that the emoji one or the full size? Yeah. So there's, this is good, I guess, because it's, Sorry, I'm like spending way too much time with this. Use the dot for the bird, upset blocks. Yeah, and let's use the equal sign. Yeah, okay, this is good. Okay, I'm going to use this. I think 100 by 100 is fine. Whoops. Ah. Never mind. I give up. Where was that? Why? I'm losing, totally, I'm like obsessively losing my mind here. It's fine. Okay. Go back. Here. Thank you. Yeah, clearly. All right, so I have all of these coding train character images designed by Jason Hegland. Thank you for that. I'm going to use the dot for the bird, a little smiley dot, and the angry equal size sign for the block. Now, this block is square, I think, not rectangular, so I'll probably have to adjust the dimensions. But the first thing I need to do is upload these images to the web editor. So the way that I will do that is by just going over here, doing add file, and then I can just drag these two images in. You know, I could put them in a folder or something, but and then we can see they're there. So now I have .png and equals PNG. And you know, there's probably a thoughtful way that I could think about what if I want different blocks to show different images, but I'm just going to, in a very simple way, use the preload function of p5. I'm going to have a variable called .image and a variable called box image. And I'm going to say .image equals load image .png, and box image equals load image, what is it called? Equals.png. And let's first just change the bird to show, it doesn't need, instead of a circle, instead of fill, I'm just going to say image, and then what was the name? .img. Ooh, and then I want to say image mode center, and then I'm going to have to say this .r. And this should be this .r times 2, really, if I'm thinking about that as a radius. So there we go. So we can see now I've got the little dot. It's so tiny. I should make it bigger. What size did I give it? I gave it the size of 16. I think the image is actually 100 by 100. So I could do this. That's like very large. But so let's make it 25. So this will be a good start. And I think what I would prefer to do also is draw the slingshot behind the bird. OK, so now I have my dot. There it goes. Now I just need to replace those blocks. So the boxes, when I make the box, I am in sketch.js. When I make the box, I'm giving them an x and a y and, oh, no, where is that? I'm giving them an x and a y and a width and a height. Let's just make them square right now. I could have an image that's not square. So they're much larger now, but that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is in box, let's change it to image what did I call it? Box image. There we go. Oh, we've got a problem. So the ground is messed up now because the ground is also the equals. And we also have to say image mode center. The ground is this like smushed equals. But guess what? Not to worry, I used inheritance. Oh, I'm so happy I used inheritance. And I could just override the show function. And there's probably a more thoughtful way I could do this, but I am just going to put this all in here, and I'm just going to put this back to rect, and back to this, and now, there we go. So here we go. I have my Angry Birds clone with P5 and Matter.js, and I'm going to pull this back, release, and oh wait, why did it make it so small? So one thing I really need to do a lot of refactoring of this because I did something very silly here where I remake the bird, but I use a different size, which having a hard-coded value here is pretty bad. All right, let's try this one more time. Oh, not this sound. No, no, stop. What's going on? Are you hearing music right now? No. Okay. Wait. I have an idea. Let's add restitution. So I'm going to go to the bird, and when I make the body, I could also add some options. For example, one option might be restitution, which is like elasticity. Let's give that a value of 1. Value of 100. Wait a sec. Let's look it up in the documentation. Body, restitution. Always positive and in the range 0 to 1. A value of 0 means the collision would be perfectly inelastic and no bouncing may occur. A value of 0.8 means the body may bounce back with approximately 80% of its kinetic energy. So let's try giving it a value of 0.8. Oh, guess what? I can make up this variable called options till the cows come home. But if I don't actually put it in creating the body, it's not going to make any difference. So now, let's see how that changes things. There we go. It's kind of like Jenga, where it just like slid out a little bit. Oh, wait a sec. Oh, it's even bigger. Whoa, okay. Oh, things have gone really off the rails here. This is supposed to be 25. And let's be a little bit more kind. Let's give it 0.5, and let's also go to the box, and let's give that also a restitution. Okay, here we go. This is my Angry Birds game made with P5 and Matter.js and coding trained characters. Oh, fall. Thank you for watching this coding challenge. I hope that you make a much better version of this with your own characters, your own sounds, your own interaction, and maybe you'll even, you can just imagine all the possibilities here. So thanks for watching, and please share with me what you make. Check the link in the video's description for the page on thecodingtrain.com, which will have all the code for this, as well as a processing version of this, hopefully, which is as well as a place where you can submit your own version. Okay, thanks very much, and see you soon. Goodbye. Okay, well, it's 1:10. That was an hour, right? But I just had to stop a bunch of times, so this will be less than an hour. That's all. Oh, give the bird some mass, add some friction. Um, yeah, I should add friction, give it mass, all those things. Aryaman says, Mom told me to sleep as soon as you finished. Go to sleep, yes, go to sleep, Aryaman. All right, this is done. Thanks for watching this Angry Birds coding challenge. Somehow the stream is working. I feel a little better. Congestion feels even a little bit less. Yeah, let's. I don't think I'm going to do anything more with this. Stop. I just want to play it. File, save. So if you want this code, you can just go directly to this URL, coding train sketches this thing. So I don't even have to upload it to GitHub. It will be there. Ground should be green, yes. And I'm going to say, I'm just curious, full. Yay. All right, here we go. Oh, wait, I need to do some thumbnails. So let me help Mathieu with a thumbnail. Although, honestly, I think it's probably better just to have some green backgrounds. And we can screenshot this. Marching cubes is definitely something I want to do. Okay, that's good enough. I should really probably do that while I'm not live streaming. It would make more sense. Oops. P5 is not required for the Matter library by any means. It's just I kind of like using it. Matter has its own rendering. Okay, here we go. Oops. Oh, wait a sec. What is going on? Oh, this is bad. Because I have to click into it first for focus, and then it gets a mouse released. Oh, what's going on? It broke. Am I losing my mind here? Did I mess up the code? Or does it just not work? That's weird. So why did it not work in full? No, I just like losing my mind. Does it have a problem once I do this? No, I was just losing my mind. Shouldn't you appropriately crop the square? Probably. Oh, something is wrong. It went off the edge because the ground doesn't go fast. Hold on, something is wrong here. Oh, the square wasn't cropped. Let me fix that. I didn't realize that this image is not cropped. So And now it's actually, what is it? It is, no, didn't I just crop it? Oh, somehow I didn't save it. Oh, I just did that. Crop, save. And so now, thank you. It is 84 by 100. So let me go here. Unfortunately, this isn't going to make it into the video. Equals, let me delete this file. Add file. Wish I had noticed that. And then the boxes are actually 84. Simon is asking, are the coding train characters available? I will make them available. So where are the boxes? 84. So this is going to be more elegant now. Yeah, that's why they were like wider. Still, they're acting super weird. Do I have a mistake? Or is it just, are they not cropped at the bottom? No, I think it's right. It's just awkward. Gives the matter.body set mass body.mass times 4. Can I just do this? This dot body times equals 4? No, dot mass. Maybe not. Matter.body set mass body, this dot body, this dot body, this dot body dot mass times 4. Oh yeah, that was good. Should have probably. Maybe I should do a little interstitial here. Sorry to interrupt, I'm about to wrap this video up, but I want to show you 2 quick improvements before I finish. The first one is when I loaded my coding train equals character, it was a square image, and there was actually a lot of additional extra space on the width. And so there was some funny physics happening that looked a little bit off. So I've now actually cropped and re-uploaded that image so that it's 84 pixels by 100. The other thing that, thanks to a suggestion, I increased the mass of the bird's body. So the Matter.js will give elements a sort of default mass, probably based on their size and their geometry. And I just take the bodies and set its mass to its own mass times 4. And so now, if I were to play my game, one more time, let's zoom in on this. And go. Boom. Yeah. I am so angry. Dot. Shiftman coding. Oh, oops, sorry. Bonk. Okay. Oh, it was supposed to be a loving scene. They're just hugging each other as they knock into each other. I don't know. Did that sound weird? Okay. Back to the end of this video. I should just finish the video right there. Never mind about this back to the end. I'm just going to finish it up right now. So this is my version. There are so many flaws to what I've done here in terms of how I've organized the code. There's some like weirdness in the physics. I haven't really been so thoughtful about the design. The whole slingshot mechanic is kind of off. So there's a couple things you could do from here. Number one, go to thecodingtrain.com, find the page for this challenge. The source code will be there, as well as any other supplementary links. And you can submit your own version. Maybe you just want to improve the way I wrote the code to make it better organized so that people could see that. Maybe you want to make your own delightful design of a scene. Maybe you have a totally other game mechanic and idea for how the physics of this world should work. Maybe you actually want to build this out to be you have more features and levels and score. There's so many possibilities. So make your own version of this. You don't need to use P5. You don't even need to use Matter. These kind of concepts will extend to other drawing libraries and game engines. You know, Phaser might be one that you should take a look at, even perhaps. You can check out the video from Cat Small about using Phaser and CodePen that's on this channel. And I will see you in a future coding challenge. Thank you. Mwah. Goodbye. There's other properties that need to be updated, and set mass handles it. Okay. Puppy pile, bust that wall, trainception. Yeah. Okay, it's 1:20. I said I wasn't going to do a 3-hour live stream today, and somehow I managed to do that. I definitely have to go. What happened to the sound? Oh, it's just slow. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's sniffly episode of The Coding Train, brought to you by the Common Cold. My nose is red, my head hurts, and yet I'm here coding for you. I will really make this Data and APIs course. It's going to happen. YouTube, thank you for your support in making this course. I hope you make all of your own versions of this. I would like to release these images, kind of Creative Commons non-commercial, you know, just like, anyway. So thanks for tuning in. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, wait a sec, I haven't left yet. I haven't left. There was a question in the chat. Our coding challenges are Wednesdays at the same hour. So Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time is my regular time slot. I can tell you for sure that 2 weeks from today, I will not be in New York. So there will be no coding challenge on that Wednesday. Oh, I have something else to announce. I forgot about, which I will mention. A week from now, I kind of have a conflict in the morning, so I'm hoping to still do Wednesday, but a different time. So stay tuned about that. So the way to find out is, unfortunately, by subscribing and clicking the alarm bell. You know, you don't have to, but if you feel so inclined, subscribe and click the alarm bell, because when I schedule it, you'll get a notification. And I usually schedule the Wednesday time the day before, the night before, sometime on Tuesday. But you can feel mostly confident, with some small exceptions, that Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. And I forgot, there's another thing I want to mention, which is that I will be at the I/O Festival, which is a festival June 3rd to 6th. Oh, I'm standing in front of this. June 3rd to 6th, 2019. That's coming up pretty fast. And look, there I am. Daniel Schiffman, Creative Coding. I'm on a mission, apparently. I'm trying to read this. My eyesight's really bad. So I'm not giving a conference talk at this because that's not something I'm very good at. I was just going to do like they have a 45-minute time slot. I was just going to do some live coding. So if you have any ideas for what might work well in that context with a live audience, I know other people have actually I do this stuff all the time here on YouTube, but it's a little different performing, so to speak, in front of a live audience. It's not something that I've really done. So if you have any suggestions about what might work well, let me know. The Coding Train, what's your Twitter handle? At Schiffman or at The Coding Train? Thanks, everybody. Let's take you out with the Polar to Cartesian song. Oh, and if you want to make remix versions of music things using my voice, I really, really enjoy that. Oh, I was going to make a video about how to contribute to the codingtrain.com website. I have to go. Next time. I didn't get to so much stuff I didn't get to. Oh well. I'm going to say once again, here we go, sing it with me. It's the polar to Cartesian coordinate song. It's the polar to Cartesian coordinate song. Auto-tune and the internet will fix that for me. Sing it with me. It's the polar to Cartesian coordinate song. 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 As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. This dot, this dot. This dot, this dot, this dot, the this dot song. Never forget the this dot. Somebody compose that song for me.